We'll go ahead and open the workshop to discuss the personal units and personnel policy. So if you all rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we might decide to want to do a roll call. I don't have any agenda, so roll call. Marcy speaking here.
John Consumer.
Yes.
And we'll note that we have Chief here, Chief of Police, and we also have Robin Willis. I never say your last name, so I'm going to move. So what we're going to do tonight is just a workshop. There'll be no formal decisions made. There'll be recommendations that we do, and we're going to go through it. So we have the current personnel policy. We have the draft that we had looked at and kind of revised last fall, and I think we only got part of the way through it. But I think also the draft has been updated a little bit more since the last draft that we had from the fall. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, we'll start.
Yeah, updated with the guidance of what we talked about last fall.
Right, I mean, I would say it's nothing, it's just I think a little bit more detail. Like, for example, we actually have a copy page that says personnel policy. So we'll
Longevity was increased, or not increased, was changed, as well as what they have to do to get their longevity pay.
right, that's how, yes, so, but we hadn't gone through, like, I see that, we have the breakdown of, like, the, index now,
Yep.
which is good, because kind of you can look at that and see what falls under each factors. So, I'll give everybody a few minutes to, then we'll just start with, we need time, which is the purpose. Let's go. And I'm assuming most everybody's had a chance to look through this prior to we sent it out a bit of time ago. So I guess we'll start with what's now the current page, would be page 9 on the new layout. You're all set with that? That's where the meat starts. Prior to that is the index with the breakdown of everything that's included in each chapter. Those pages 1 through 8. So, if everybody's had a chance to look through, like, the purpose, they played. Any questions on page 9? 10. Goes through the process of, I mean, I can read anything anybody wants me to, or, and so if we need to, but unless we need to talk about clarification. That's the way I see it. Any questions? We can move into definitions.
I have a question actually on page 10.
Okay, yeah.
Just real quick under policies that are applied to. Members who would be have elected officials and bona fide volunteers of the town. That would be my recommendation, maybe elaborate a little bit in there as to what would be essentially considered a like a bona fide volunteer.
Like a rec committee.
Yeah, I mean, I just
Well, I think more like
it's
and if ones that aren't elected, however, are like committee members, for example, rec committee or planning selected, but
Oh, right. No, planning was not elected.
that's right. Sorry. Yes,
So
planning board, DDA, stuff
conservation.
like that.
yeah.
So
It's just-
maybe we.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like, my focus as the police chief is to leave this place better than when we got here. And we can all discuss this right now and mutually all agree that we know what that means. But these policies may continue into long after my tenure and all of your tenures. So I just kind of, as I was reading some of this stuff, I thought maybe we could clarify it a little bit so that future boards or department heads or employees that come in are a little bit.
So we could say,
Leaves it less open for interpretation.
all right, so you could say bona fide volunteers, and you could say such as
Maybe, yeah, I was gonna say maybe
planning
an
board,
example.
conservation committee,
Subcommittees would
ZBA, in any subcommittees, as such.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So.
I like the fact that we kind of remove them from the policy, if you will. But the other thing is too, is I think that, and this is more the taxpayer of me speaking, I think if they do sit on a board though, there's some stuff in here that they should probably be held to a standard of, because they are still representing the town. Such
Yeah.
as our multimedia policy.
Yes.
Things like that. I think whether you're on the ZBA or on the select board or the rec, if you will, like the social media or multimedia policy, I think everybody should be held to that standard because they're still representing the town.
I tend to agree with you, only except for what's called usually, and I don't know if we have this, what's called most boards have a ethics or a what's called conduct policy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
I mean, we put some language in there that says each board must abide by their ethics policy, and
Right.
maybe the chair of each board is required to write an ethics policy for their board and submit it to you guys. To be included, that's a great idea too. I didn't think that way. But like I said, it was just one of those things
No,
where I
so I agree, because it makes it clearer, and because we called out elected town officials, we didn't call out like appointed. So you could say bona fide employee and volunteers, or appointed town officials along with, appointed because then they could be depends, right? Because appointed could be an employee.
Yeah.
Versus, so appointed to a committee or board, I guess, but I'm sure Tim will come up with something.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Yeah, you could all add home association. I mean, probably the more we can clarify, that's probably good.
I'm just thinking like this might be in effect for the next 20, 25 years. Very minimal change. Because my guess is that most of this has probably been around for the vast majority of that time as well. So.
I agree. All right, so if we're good with that, we'll move on to what is now page 11. So I didn't see. So you categorize these by organizational and authority terms. I guess I don't know how you change the organization, because before it was advertised too, now it's.
And we won't help that, that's easy enough to do.
That's fine, I just was wondering, because I see we have organizational authority, employee, and as long as all of these are in here,
Yep.
it's just not a big, I don't have any issue with that. I do know that we did have, we said that board of selectmen, because this was a change we talked about, Michelle, being the elected official of the town of Middleton during their active term. Okay, but that's good. So,
I do have one on that.
On page 11?
Yep.
Yep.
So on the personnel file.
Yeah.
I did put a call into the PSDC, Police Standards and Training, and as you guys are aware, they came and did our audit last week. One of the things that came up in that discussion with them was they wanted my personnel file, and then I went upstairs and got it for them. I kind of had the conversation with them where it doesn't matter, but realistically, maybe we could put a caveat in there as far as the police department goes, because there is some documentation in a police officer's personnel file that is has to be maintained by us downstairs. It's not open for public view or privy to every person or anybody that they want to thank one day or look at.
So if you look at this called RSA 275:56,
Yeah.
was called, it actually addresses that.
Oh, it does. Okay, I didn't read the statute, so.
Yeah. No, that's the reason why I put in there what's called, so that's prohibited by RSA.
Like, I had no problem with mine being upstairs, and that's what I told the police academy. I said, mine can be upstairs. And I had no problem with the officers being up there either. So what we discussed, or what I discussed with them potentially, so we could still stay in compliance with their standards, was maybe they just have 2 personnel files. So basically, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, is like their psychological exams.
Those aren't something that are, that's a HIPAA issue, that's a whole plethora of other issues, along with their medical records and what have you. But as far as their employee records and everything, that can all be upstairs and not an issue. And he is looking into it for me. I thought he'd get back to me by now. And this had nothing to do with this meeting. These were questions that just came up during the audit process last week. So that I'm just wanted to throw that out there with everyone. As I read this,
I just want to make sure that we all understood that potentially, if we want to keep everything upstairs in the selectmen's office, that's not a problem. But on my end of things, they may have 2 files.
Right, and that, like I said, that's addressed what's called in the RSA.
From the outset. Perfect.
Okay. I know it looks like we had updates for employee salary, that's been updated. We had an update for the employee temporary, that looks like that got updated. We had an update for leave that looked like it was just grammatical. Let's see what it is. Yeah, that was good. Overtime. Payday. No, Tim, that should be every other Thursday and Wednesday.
Yep.
Yep. On payday, page 12. So it should be every other Thursday or Wednesday. Because we were initially a weekly, and then it says for pay period.
And it's Sunday through Saturday, not Monday through
Alright,
Saturday.
so pay period should be Sunday through Saturday, bi-weekly.
Well, that's what we're currently.
But was it in Sunday through Saturday? I put that, it's a Sunday.
Sunday through Saturday.
Alright, I was putting, and I'm like, that's an extra day if I do it that way. Alright, so that's good. And then, I think that takes care of all of our, definitions.
So in looking at other towns and other organizations, I have a couple references here for you if you want. They outline what is considered a workday, because sometimes that can cause
And I'm not sure if that's
confusion.
Right, so I guess maybe, I don't know if that's further in, or we can, yeah, so what?
I know in
We
our
did talk about that.
In our old policy, we do talk about it when we get to
Right.
compensation.
So should we call it out
I
as a
just didn't know if
definition?
we should put it, if you guys were interested or thoughts of putting it.
Well, here's my, I guess let's go. Well, I think we talked about how I put it later on under definitions, because what constitutes a work day for the highway department
Right,
and what constitutes a work day for Kim
Right.
is completely different.
Right, and that's where I was going with this was, essentially like I know in the old one it says that a work day for the police department is 10 hours as opposed to a work day for somebody else is potentially 8 hours.
I guess let's go. We could put something to the effect of work day would be an assigned period of time by.
Yeah, I just like some of the other towns they just outline like the police department work day is
So,
identified as 10 hours.
so yeah, so we could potentially put in a, work day, because we have work week, and we can put in,
my only hesitation about breaking it down by each department is, for example, what's called the highway department 3 years ago was Monday to Friday. Now it's Monday to Thursday, which means there'd be an update every time that happens. So whereas what's called, for right now, what's called the work day is kind of day, what if the changes to say 3/12 or whatever?
Yeah, no, it absolutely can. So.
Which one, I think that saying something to the effect of, it's like as assigned by department head.
Right. Well, that's where I was going to go with this. So, definition is definition, but as far as the work day or the work schedule, work week, work month, work year, whatever the case may be, that's unrelated law. That's a manager, right? So the officers may work 10-hour shifts right now, and don't laugh at me for saying this, but. If we had more officers and we went short 2 officers and I needed to provide that coverage, it's my right to actually say, hey, let's more go back to 8-hour shifts. We're working 5 and 2s, so on and so forth. And that's a right to you, that's a manager right. But the only reason I bring up the definition aspect of it is it comes into play, such as like a home.
Yeah.
So if they're working 8 hours, because I've assigned them to because we're short-staffed, if we identify a workday definition as 8-hour day, and they go back to 10-hour shifts, well now we get an 8-hour workday for 8 hours.
Yes.
just put it on the table.
So it may be in here further, but it was just something I just wanted to touch on.
No, I think it's a very good idea. I think that definition is very good.
Yeah, it was just something I wanted to touch on because, like I said, I'm as I go through all of this, I'm thinking like after we're all done, if you will. I mean, I have the nicest way possible, but at the end of the day, we're all going to retire at some point, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Alright, so given that recommendation, are we good
That's
to-
gonna be under the paid day.
it would be a work day, I think in, where,
So yeah, we're saying add definition work day to definitions.
And then just a caveat in there that says this schedule can be altered by management, right?
Yeah.
To accommodate the needs of the town.
so it's not gonna pinpoint and say what.
Yeah, we're not gonna say what the exact hours would be. We're gonna say
It's just how it gets determined.
Yeah.
Being, by management.
Yeah.
Can be fluid and change, like.
And of course, since the beginning of this says that this can't be perceived as a contract or anything like that, it's not a contract.
Okay, so that's good. So that brings us into chapter 4, the equal employment opportunity and policy against discrimination and harassment.
Can I go back real quick to the issue?
Do you have another? Oh, you did, sorry.
No, I have highlight marks here and there. So I see promotions, demotions, and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
And we reference labor grades. Now I know that further in this, there's language about setting up a pay scale and presenting it to you guys within a period of time, so on and so forth. And I don't want to be presumptive here, but I'm assuming that's what you're referencing there when you reference labor grade.
I'm not sure, I'll look
Yeah.
at it.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure.
So we're going to define this later on in the.
We're gonna talk about it. Yes, we'll be talking about that.
Okay, all right, that's fine, that's fine. So we'll just, that is it, something June we want to. Anything else? Scott?
No, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's all
That's good, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
Because, so we're starting with chapter 4, and I know that there was initially equal opportunity. Is everybody good?
As we get through that, I do have some questions on page 60.
Okay, no, that's fine, I just want to say, I mean, I think somebody looking at something here, I'm not on board because.
you know how some companies, I'm not sure about yours, but they cover who, that, I don't have to read it from here for you, but you know, how that even a volunteer or a contractor of the firm or whatever, that the language specifies that can also be considered harassment, things like that. Is that?
I think that might be a little bit more detailed on the posters that are posted
Yeah, that's
in the
true.
kitchen area.
You're right, it is. That's true. I did see that.
Yeah.
Good.
And we originally had those in the big room before we did the painting. Basically, the thing I have with those posters, you guys have them downstairs too, right?
Yeah, when I started, we bought them most up to date. We ordered yours as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we haven't paid both.
So I also think because highway and fire don't come over into the kitchen area, we need to get posters for those.
Yeah, they should be posted in each one of the buildings.
Yeah.
I can, you may have it, Tim, but if not, I can send you the link. We ordered it right off of Amazon.
Well, I guess.
There was one section that's federally required that wasn't even noticed, so we printed that out separately, laminated it, and hung it up with it.
Okay.
I can do
Did you feel like no?
So I did know that we had, so it's like on page 15, and it just says defining it, you know, and we had defined it as unwelcomed, or was it, okay, we had unwelcome, and we decided it should be unwelcome, but I see we've gone back to unwelcome, I don't know which one it should be, if it should be defined as unwelcome, I think it should be unwelcome.
Okay.
We just went ahead and read it. So now, in our old one, we do refer to, and I'm not sure if we have it here too, is, appendix C. So if everybody wants to see, do you have the appendix attached to this?
No, I don't have the kind of
Yeah,
traffic,
so-
so it will be.
No, but so Kim has provided it to us, so we wanna,
The old one. With
See,
appendix C. I mean, since it's being referenced, it might be worth just looking at it.
we,
It's just the reporting procedures.
yeah.
Because it refers to, there was a reference to, yeah, just appendix C. Okay,
So that, in Appendix C clarifies a lot of the questions that I actually had on that. Do we want to outline, because it doesn't really say who will investigate.
Right.
It says we will promptly investigate it, it will smoothly, but nowhere in there does it reference who will investigate it.
And so they should report it.
In the appendix, it clarifies who it should be reported to, the board of selectmen or if a department head or supervisor.
Liaison,
Yeah, I'm not sure who proper authorities means.
I think that would, well, I guess it would be like, so if it was your boss, you're not gonna report to
No,
that. So
no,
it
you
would be-
wouldn't.
So it would probably be most like the board, because,
Yeah.
we have a very short chain of
Right.
command here in town.
Yes.
Because the board would need to make sure that the town informed our liability area and everything.
Right.
So if it was reported, I was hoping it didn't mean reporting outside the town first, because, we really have to report those things very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I think this is where the liaison will come into effect, so if I had a problem with, Dan, or Jim, I would come to you first, and you're the second,
Right.
or vice versa, if I had a problem with somebody else and Tim was the liaison, I'd go to that person. And then you guys would, I don't know, discuss it as a board.
Yeah.
So, right, but so where, we need to, okay. So
The proper
investigate.
authority.
So disclosure complaints will be limited to those with a need to know in order to investigate, but that's not that. Will conduct all investigations in a discreet manner, but it doesn't say it will be. I guess I don't know that you define who investigates.
No, I don't think it did.
And I don't necessarily think it needs to be defined, does it?
No, because then you have to give every example of.
Right, because I'm like, if it was, because typically I would, well, depending on the nature of it or whatever, so you might say, okay, we're gonna have the PE investigators, or we're gonna have some, so yeah, so I think as long as, I think this is covered, well, I mean, I don't know, we'll defer to everybody else, but I think this is okay as such. And again, it's not like we can't change it. As more people think about it more and say, well, I think this is better worded, but they have my lesson.
I do have a copy of another town's, if anybody.
Cool.
Like their harassment
Yeah.
procedures.
Yeah, and as I read theirs, I don't see anything that specifically identifies who will investigate it.
Yeah.
But basically what there says is that it would be reported to the direct supervisor or department head, so I'll just use police department as an example. Let's say, it gets reported to the sergeant would then immediately report it to me. And then at that point, from reading theirs, it looks like the situation could potentially be addressed at that level. But if the complaining party did not feel it was adequately dealt with, then it leaves them the ability to basically appeal that to you guys. So that's the other thing that we just have to be careful of, because we don't have a town administrator or anyone, is that we want to try and keep the board out of a lot of it as best we can, because otherwise, if you guys investigate it, it leaves us no alternative for them to appeal if they're not happy with the decision. So then it goes outside the four walls and it goes to the state. Whereas if it's handled, at a department head level, then at that point, if they're not content with that and they feel that the department head didn't handle the situation correctly or whatever, it gives you that next level of tier before it winds up outside of our municipality.
And I agree, I think that would be, it should be, if somebody was to come to me and say, hey, Roxanne, I said, well, have you talked to your department head?
Yep.
I mean, otherwise, but give them and say, well, if it is their department head, then they have to come to, so it's.
But these are, this particular one is one that can draw criticism, scrutiny, and can ultimately end in the town being, in some form or fashion of litigation. So the one thing I will say in reading it is that we're kind of broad to a degree on how it reports, because it says, a supervisor, a department head, a board of selectmen, where I think we need to be more direct in the language of it, where it says you report it to your immediate supervisor.
so on and so forth. And then that way there, if an employee, God forbid, ever ends up in a situation like this in the town, they can't say, well, I reported it to so-and-so versus, and then,
So you're saying in number 1, where it says you should report it immediately to your supervisor, department?
Supervised.
Well,
No.
but that's what I think he's saying. It's like basically the normal, if it wasn't, your normal chain of command would be to report it to your supervisor, department head, because lots of times it's one and the same, right? We would say. And, however, put the language in there, however, if
in
that's,
the absence of,
well, let me mean the absence of, because if it was you, you know what I mean?
no. So just to get back to it, there's a paragraph, there's language in there that actually outlines if it is the department head that is potentially the perpetrator, it outlines how you would report that. Yeah, in there. And I can scan this and email it to you guys if you want to just take a look at it.
Yeah.
But I just think that's one of those ones that we definitely got to be very crystal clear on the procedural aspect of it, so that we don't wind up in a situation just based on not having it tight enough, I guess, would be the best way.
Okay, so I think that puts us. Puts us up to chapter 5. Get my pages right. So that's accommodations for individuals with disabilities.
I do have one recommendation here, just as I look at it right now.
Oh, okay, what? On like a.
Like on a accommodation, so it says how to request accommodations. It says notify the office of the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, so
Would that be considered Kim?
yeah.
No, it was the designated chairman of the board of selectmen says.
Well, it says.
That's the office of the board.
Does it say?
Yeah, it says,
Okay.
what I have here in front of us, we have, it says, if you require an accommodation, please notify the office of the Board of Selectmen.
And I'm just curious if
Yeah.
by your statement there it qualifies as Kim, just because again we're unlike a lot of municipalities where we don't have a town administrator,
Right. Yeah.
or there's the potential that days could go by without seeing one of you.
All right. And then we're going to change it to the selectman secretary.
Yeah, I was just if we could just add that
Or you
in
could
there
do office of the Board of Selectmen.
to include the second secretary.
Okay.
Because if somebody's in there, we.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I just always, when I look at stuff like that, I always want to give an alternative just because,
Mhm.
so depending on it, sometimes it's very rare, but we can sometimes go days without seeing you guys.
Okay. So we're good on.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had. I just, like I said, I just didn't want somebody to be able to come back at us.
Actually, I do have a question. Speaking of mandatory harassment training, do we have that? Every 3 years?
Where is, wait a minute. what
Bottom of
is
page
it?
16.
So now we're back to page 16.
Sorry, missed it.
No, that's okay. Prior to every 3 years, training. Good question. So that's something that we need to probably look into.
So Primex does do a training.
Yeah. So I mean, that's probably something we can circle back and get a.
Right, and I think that was something that was in the old one that was called liquor from the new one. So.
No, that's fine. I think it's great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just one of those things that we need to get in a better habit of.
And it is an online
Right.
training program, so.
And that's very minimal. I mean, most employers, it's one every year, at least a lot of them.
With the state, it was every year.
Yeah.
We had to do it.
Okay. Thanks, Robert. So I think we're moving on to page 19, which is employment. So we had here before, we were looking to change unless a statute or a written contract, and I think we were gonna add or memorandum and I don't know why we chose that. Specifies otherwise. All town employees are considered at will. So are we good with adding that back in there? It wasn't in the original, but when we had met last fall, we put that in there, so.
That's good.
It's a state
Yeah,
requirement.
right.
Which one's that? I'm sorry.
That at will on page 19.
Yeah, so it says we're adding, so it says unless a statute or a written contract or memorandum. Specified otherwise, and I think then the rest of that's fine. And then this refers to Appendix B, so if we want to look at Appendix B. This is the hiring policy. And I think it definitely needs to be updated because it has 3 selectmen who are, and we are 5 board now. And I believe that this is probably something that I think this one we have to take a little bit more in-depth look at, so I think I'll kind of say let's table this one because it looks like it's pretty, it says something about what has the hiring authority for all except the following fire chief, and I'm thinking we do hire the fire chief, we don't, we don't hire the firefighters on the day, but.
I think that's what it's trying to mean, right?
Right, yeah, so let's
Was the fire chief maybe at one point appointed?
it could have been.
That's not
That was
abnormal.
a lot, that.
I was gonna say, that's not a normal in small
No,
towns.
it isn't. So I would say let's take this one, do some further work on it because because I think it's too much really for us to look at right now. So we'll do that. Okay.
So I do have a quick question for probationary period on
Yeah.
page 19.
Okay, yeah, no, that's, I said, on that page, that's good.
Is I guess for promotional processes, I'm kind of fine with the 90 days. But for employment, general employment, most places are 12 months. I didn't know if that was something you guys would be interested in. Most places you're on probation for 12 months,
Really?
or at least the municipalities and places in the state.
I mean, it's tell that it's always been 90 days.
Yeah, it's different, but I know like Farmington was 12 months. The state's you're considered probationary for 12 months. Like I said, I'm fine with the 90 days. I'm just throwing. Again, I'm just that guy that's just.
Yeah.
Do you know the logic behind that?
So I can't speak to other positions, but from the law enforcement aspect, typically it takes you more than 90 days to look at somebody and figure out whether they're going to get it or not get it. Because just their FTO period is traditionally 12 to 14 weeks. And then you have, if you send them to the police academy, that's 16 weeks. So from my purview, by the time we get them through the academy, get them through field training, and now we can start to see if they've absorbed, understand, and are able to actually complete the job as we've trained them to do, we would be well past the 90 days.
Yeah.
Now, you're still an employee at will by definition in here, but once you're not considered a probationary period, and I may be wrong in this, but I believe you are afforded more labor rights than you are if you're still considered probationary. And I could be wrong in that, but I believe. So again, I'm fine with the 90. I was just throwing it out there. For us, I can't speak to any other department, but
for me, and I don't know if I'm completely wrong in the employment rights that are afforded for a non-probationary to probationary. If I'm wrong in that, then so be it. It doesn't make a difference. But if I am, the 90 days, there's no way that if I was hiring a brand new officer that I knew nothing about, there's no way I could articulate within 90 days whether or not, especially with the training periods, as to whether or not they could adequately do the job.
I can imagine that could work that way with the fire department as well,
Potentially, I would think, yeah.
because they do a lot of training as well.
Because a lot of the things too is a lot of these training periods have extended as well. The police academy used to be 10 weeks, and now I think last time I checked, we're at like 16 weeks. I know like the fire academy, it used to be much shorter than it is now. So those certification periods have extended statutorily as far as the requirements for the certifications. But again, if I'm not
So,
correct,
If you read it, what's called, it says at least 90 days.
yeah.
Which means what's called, it can be longer depending on the department.
Maybe we
Could be.
put that in there, huh?
So
Maybe maybe we should clarify that,
I mean, at that point, we could absolutely. I think if we cleaned it a little bit, then we could absolutely leave it open to the point where the department head could extend.
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
just say unless the board
There is
selectmen
an ex-
modifies.
Well, the next page, there is, it says an extension. And it says
Oh,
the appointment
okay.
That could be
may
it.
extend the probationary period in up to additional 90 days to permit further evaluation.
yeah,
Only one extension may be granted for any probationary period employee. There's no implied contract for continued
like
employment.
that, okay,
So,
that's good. Okay.
so maybe we're good with what we have here, because, right, I guess, to Tim's
Wait a
point,
minute.
it's like we are saying that it's at least, it's the next page,
Page 20.
page 20, extension.
You're
Oh,
pointing out
okay.
authority.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I was following Dext into the
No, no,
mid-period
that's
evaluation.
fine. So I think, are we good with saying at least 90 days unless the Board of Selectmen modifies? Or-
Yeah. Because if we needed to, I would just write a letter to you guys
Yeah.
asking, can we
Okay.
extend this?
So then,
So that-
and we,
yeah.
and we have the extension on the back, the next page that covers.
Take that back. Sorry for wasting your time.
No,
Yeah,
no.
me too, I didn't look fully enough at that
Sometimes it's
page.
good to look ahead, just saying. Okay. So I think that,
On page 20, are we on performance evaluations?
yeah.
So on page 20, it references the written performance evaluations at least once a year. I'm a huge proponent of evaluations. My question, I guess, is are we going to have an appendix with the evaluation form
I
itself?
think that's good. I know, I think it's
So
a
that we
good
have a-
recommendation, because then we're all using this, everybody's using the consistent form.
Absolutely.
And, the consistent criteria.
Right. So like I did evaluations on my employees this past year, but I just used an evaluation form that I had. But I think it would be beneficial if we're going to outline it in the policy so that way they know what the standard is they need to be.
Yeah. No, but I think it's good we have an evaluation form that's uniform across all departments.
In fact, actually, let's call it if you want. I can send it over to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody to review it, yeah. So that would be like whatever the next, maybe appendix J, I don't really know, but whatever. But yeah, so if we want to reference that in here somewhere for the appendix, Tim as well, say.
And then as far as the evaluations go, is there any definition or any clarification there on who completes them? I mean, I would assume as a department head, it would be completed by you guys, but I'm presumptive here in that, as far as the employee goes, it would be completed by the department head.
It doesn't say that, but I mean, maybe we should put clarification in there. Yes, I would
Right.
suspect if you work in a department where there's a department head, then that person would be the one that does
Well,
that.
yeah, it makes sense because what's called our only employees are department heads.
So, yeah.
Our employees are only
Right.
department heads. so
Well, or
therefore-
like Rob.
Right.
So, but
Well,
yes,
then you kind of yeah.
yeah, it's, yeah, so I agree that maybe we add some language in here that said who would be performing the,
So selectmen, what's called evaluate department heads, and department heads evaluate their employees.
I think so.
And I do have different evaluations that I know Tim said that he had some as well. I'll be more than happy to send you guys as well, because they're a little bit different. Like I have evaluations that also critique you on your fiscal responsibility, financials, et cetera, whereas like an employee, you're not going to complete any of that.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Well, so what's called the one that I'm thinking of, this one that was called, we've been using, what's called, and like actually I've seen 3 towns I've worked in so far, which kind of, you can actually break apart into different sections
Yeah.
to take away certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
So what's called, it doesn't, like, for example, with physical fitness might not really be as kind of
Right.
deal with one employee, whereas for another employee,
Right.
it might be.
Right.
Yeah.
So so maybe once we get those, we can do some more clarification
Yeah.
on what I'm saying. But also, I wanted, should we put in here when they need to be done, completed? I think that would be a good
That's a good idea.
recommendation, like mid-year, I think, something like that. I don't know, or,
I typically like to do them. I try to do them twice a year, but me personally, I try to do them either at the end of the year if I'm only doing one, so that way they know what my expectations are for the next year. Because that's at the end of the day, that's the purpose of the evaluation, is to point out areas that you could do better or that you would expect somebody to do better.
So
But it
even
also,
in a case where you have an employee and you hire, say, November.
Yeah.
Do you still evaluate them in January or?
I would still evaluate them, but you just wouldn't have much in there. You know, you'd have a lot of not applicable probably.
And I think what's got my recommendation would be to do it on
Yeah.
the anniversary.
Yeah, or anniversary
I
dates, you
like
could do that.
personally,
Yeah.
but that's just my own.
Yeah.
It gets very confusing when you do it on the anniversary date.
You have to have a track and, yeah,
I mean, so if you do.
yeah.
well, wait a minute, so I just want to say, so the evaluation is not tied to anything monetarily. That's from what we're talking about here, because that's not what we've done. If we are, then that's a different, then I think then you'd have to say, you'd have to have a date, like, I can tell you, like, where I work,
Yeah.
my review is done in January, February.
Yeah.
Because it's attached to monetary. But if we're not attaching it to monetary, then I think anniversary is fine, because that's the department, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think based on the conversation we had back in March, the town decides the rate anyway.
Say that
The
again.
town usually decides
Right.
the COLA anyway, so therefore we're just doing it so that they're aware of where they stand.
So, I mean, but Kim, your point to saying doing it on the anniversary is more
It's just,
difficult.
I mean, look at all the,
Somebody has to track it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's up to the department head, because like I said, I mean, our employees that we're going to be evaluating are the chief, Robin, Kim,
The town
So,
clerk.
so could we
Nope.
say, no, so could we say?
town clerk is what's called.
Yeah.
So could we say, how about this, because I'm just thinking of like fire, he's got 20 people there, who could have 20, so could we say, they have, an employee has to be evaluated at least once a year, and it's up to the department head or selecting as to when they, you know,
Yep.
choose the, I think that's better.
I think
I don't
that's-
do that.
What about when
Because
time?
if I was Jared, I'd be like, okay, I'm doing all my
I
evaluations.
would say you
in
could put
July.
like no later than November 31st.
Right, they have to have at least one evaluation of the year, and it's all to your decision as to when you do it.
So based on the discretion of the DOS or department head.
I think so, but it has to be at least once a year.
Yeah.
Because that's how I would look at it. I would be like, okay, if we're doing that, to me, I'm like, if I had to do evaluations, I would prefer to kind of say, let's just do them all kind of at the same time, because you're in that mode,
Yes,
kind
exactly.
of. But that's just another discussion for us to have for like department heads and the people we're gonna do.
Right, because another thing too, if you're gonna base any type of monetary off of their evaluations,
And we're not, that's, I mean.
Yeah, we're not. That's determined by the DOS. That's determined by the town meeting.
right, but what I'm asking is, like say I did very well on my evaluation, you can't hold that COLA back, I mean.
No, that's, yeah.
That's what we're saying.
That's what I'm trying to get all around to make sure it's clarified that this isn't gonna be time.
Right. So COLA is determined by the town people at the town meeting.
Right.
Now, what's called evaluation can be used, say, if you have 3 bad evaluations, where you're continually showing us that you're not doing your job, then it's up to us to say, you know what, one, it's a fluke, maybe two, but
Then they're gonna go on a bill, yeah.
Well, right, so.
or even if it's like it's like two in a row, okay, maybe it's time to put him on the work plan.
Right.
I'm only using this example, but yeah,
But I mean, it also gives you justification for promotion and justification for demotion
Right.
or other
Right.
means to move forward and move backwards, I guess.
I guess that's why I was in the fan of doing it that way, is because again, it's so as long as the town people support giving 3%, 2%, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that's fine. But our job is to also hold our employees accountable. And
Right.
our employees are the department heads, so.
Right. No, I was just saying, because there's steps to those, it's depending on how you fare on an evaluation. You get a verbal, you get a document, and a verbal is given, and that employee has to sign off on that memo type thing. And then, sometimes, depending on what the issue is, sometimes you can give them a second verbal. And then the third one is gonna be, you have to have it in writing. Each one of these steps has to be signed by the employee as well as the supervisor.
You're talking like disciplinary.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I guess one thing I'm more of to say so we have, say one of the requirements is for our police chief to come in and give us departmental reports on a monthly basis or even a quarterly basis. And they refuse to do that for a year. On their evaluation, that's communication is something we're going to mark down for. Now, if that continues on, then that's something we're going to have to start looking at. Okay, well, it's been a repeated process. And even if the board changes, people can, so the board members or the new board members can still feed, but that's an issue. At the same token, say so we have a police chief, and one of the things we say is, we want you to be involved in the community law. And we see them at Home Day constantly, we see them organizing bike rodeos, we see them doing any number of things. We can say, you know what, this is an area where you exceed all of our expectations. And then the same thing, so if they end up having so a new board comes in and says, I'm not sure, how I feel about this chief. And they can see, oh, okay, well, this person has routinely gotten high marks because of X, Y, and Z. So.
Just has to make sure that coincides with their job description.
Right.
In there. Yeah, I'm just trying to get around, okay.
Sorry, you were my examples for both, but I think, I'm good. You show up at the meetings and, so I'm just, what, yeah.
So I think we are moving on to, I don't know if anybody had anything on page 21, which is employment of immediate family. I know we had done some work on that. It looks like the team's clean that up. Move on to chapter 7, which is compensation. So, I think all hours work account for during the calendar weeks, because we do bi-weekly, so I think maybe that should be weeks.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good. So this is where we get into where we made some changes.
How do we handle late submission? Because in my experience supervising, in my case, the employees a lot of times were out and about everywhere, and they were, they either had to turn in person. This is before really electronic things we were doing, or they had to fax me by a certain time. And so some of them clearly didn't care about being paid, but the law required them to be paid on time. So HR would tell me, Jonathan, you need to do your very level best to estimate what they worked. And if there's anything that is a discrepancy, they need to address it with us after that. Even though it's a responsibility to get it in, it's our clear responsibility to pay them on time. So what's your perspective on that? Kim?
Well, basically, here, I've been told you have to have payroll submitted to me by 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. Yes, there's times that you have to wait for you to come back in the signature, but, and otherwise, they could not get paid, but then you gotta look back at it, you have to be reasonable.
Like in the fire department, it'd be almost impossible
Yes.
for someone other than, but like say, it seems fairly easy there because they obviously, I'm saying if the individual is marking off what they're doing and the chief is doing, but say, I'm trying to think of the situation, if you had like,
I haven't had that many issues.
yeah,
So,
Because people,
can I give you an example of something from my department?
Yeah.
Let's call it. So, where I work, what's called, I'm in charge of one of the videography.
Yeah.
Who come in literally what's called after work days and
Right.
do every time they don't.
yeah,
They're what's called, paperwork submitted, they don't have their time to submit on time, but
you knew what they were doing, right?
I had an idea, which meant, I submitted the answer. Okay, so I know immediately covers 3 hours, takes an hour to break down and sell. So I'm paying for 5 hours. And every time listen, I'm paying for 5 hours. If you have
Yeah,
an issue with this,
yeah,
let me know, otherwise,
right,
that's it.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with Jared or Scott can say, or Dan, can
right,
say, okay, with Scott, so I know you worked X number of hours, but you didn't submit anything to me, so I'm going to put you in for this, and then if we have to correct it later, we can.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I do too. If I have a week off vacation and it falls on the week of payroll, I get in touch with all the department heads and say, look, I'm on vacation that week. Can I have the
right,
payroll on Wednesday
yeah,
so that I can get it processed Wednesday and Thursday and get all the signatures
yeah,
and stuff. If there's anything additional, add it on to the following.
yeah, the only time we run into any type of issues with that is during a bunch of months, we just never know anyways.
so that's a good point, yeah.
But,
So it hasn't been a problem, that's good.
Small
No.
town help.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's, I think that's,
And if
it's
there's
embedded now into them to make sure that they have it.
yeah, well, and too, if there's any questions or anything like that, I contact the
Right.
department heads right off and say, hey,
Yeah,
can you clarify this a little?
So I see we have, I just want to just double check on this, we have, under the pay periods, we have submission deadlines, so it says departments must submit weekly payroll accounts,
That means it's the board selectmen.
right? Accounts and time sheets to the board, so I can talk to them later, then I get that, I guess, what was reviewing their pages, I was, I guess, maybe, I was just questioning because we do bi-weekly, but they
yeah,
must submit a weekly payroll account. So they do have to they need to submit weekly even though we get paid bi-weekly, because they have to submit for the time they work. So that's fine. And
Which they all do anyways.
Right, yeah,
Fine.
right, that's fine. I just had to talk that through to myself, so.
Yep.
Under the wage section, where it says longevity increases, there needs to be a space between increases and will.
So this is one, alright, so this is one that's kind of been standout out there because, and I've seen it, it's been in the book, it's always been in the book, it says, within 30 days of policy passage, all department heads must present the board with a wage step plan for salary increases based on, training and planning. I've never seen one, in the whole time I've been over there, even in like old archives, I've never seen like a wage step plan. So either we need to have this or remove, come up with some better language.
I'd be happy to remove it, that's just me.
you know,
Makes sense.
because we don't necessarily have a wage step plan. I don't know if you know.
It's very
Plans you
confusing.
intend to have one.
I would absolutely like to see us have one.
Okay.
I agree.
So that's fine, so then we just need to reach out to the department heads and say, hey,
Honestly, I think the town would love, I think the town would love to see one so that way they know,
and,
you know,
and I
instead
don't
of,
disagree,
yeah.
and I don't disagree, but it's one of those things where it's always been in there, but I've never seen any backup to it, even from years, but I'm like,
So I think we need to reach out to our department head and say, you guys need to put together a wage step plan.
and now, so when we say that, oh, sorry, it's Mike Green. Thanks for joining, Mike. Sure. Okay, so we're on chapter 7, so, you know, hold on now, which is compensation. So we're talking about a wage step plan. So would we talk about wage step plans just for the highway, police, and fire, or are we talking wage step plans for all positions?
Yes.
I think at least the 3 year pension,
Okay.
but I wouldn't be opposed to all the departments, or all employees having that.
I'm not opposed to either, but I'm just saying,
So-
I think a start would be.
So one thing that I worked on years ago with the old police department, actually, when Joe Varga, was potentially exploring something like this. Because as far as a recruitment and retention aspect of things, it can be very beneficial. My proposal to them is I had a 20-step plan, or 20 grades, and then it had 10 steps, which calculated over the course of 20 years. So, and what you would do is take like patrolmen. They would fall under a pay grade 10. Well, that pay grade 10 then had essentially 10 steps. And the first 5 years were annual, and the second 5 years were biannual. And then the step 9 to step 10 was 3 years. And this was based on your evaluations, on your performance, on your longevity with the town, etc. I've seen it in other municipalities where, you know, the towns voted down any sort of a COLA or anything of the sort. And then that went on for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. And then there was a mass exodus because employees were like, cost of everything going up, the gallon of milk and everything else. But in healthcare, for that matter, there were some municipalities where people worked at a municipality for 10 years. And then 10 years later, they were actually making less than the day they started there because the cost of healthcare increased, but there was nothing that increased on their side of it. So again, I know that it's a double-edged sword fiscally, but I definitely am a strong proponent of at least having further discussion and exploratory of it.
So, I mean, I've actually seen the opposite example where I've seen towns get more employees because the employees understand that this is where, you know, this is how everything is going to be.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And then and then the town side as well, Woodstock to give us,
Yeah.
you know, it's not 3%, 4%, or 2%, whatever goal, and that's on top of our thing, which again I think is beneficial because then people know.
And then traditionally, what you do though is, like, let's say, so you have your pay scale.
Yeah.
And now the town votes next year. The national average is 2% COLA. So the town votes, we're going to give it 2% COLA. What you do is you just take that whole pay scale and everything increases on that scale by 2%.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, you're going to go here, and get 2%. You're going to get your step, which is encompassed into that 2% is already encompassed into it, potentially, depending upon the town vote. Now, if the town votes for 0, so let me back up.
Yeah.
Let's say you're making $10 an hour and your next step is 12. Okay. The town votes no COLA. Will you still get your step? If you've earned it. It's
So now this is
it's materially based.
Which is not what
No.
But that would be under the guidance of,
Right, no, but I'm just saying, so.
So you can do-
Make sure we know what lane we're looking at and how we're gonna navigate.
You
through
can
that.
you can do both, or either or. But having some form of a projection of the future for an employee is very beneficial when it comes to recruitment.
Right.
Now, you could potentially say, our pay scale is our pay scale, and we will reevaluate it every 10 years, every 5 years, or whatever. And if the town votes to give a COLA, then the employees that work here at the time that that's given get the COLA in their steps, and maybe your materius, or I'm not pronouncing the word correctly, but maybe your steps aren't as big. But it still gives somebody that projection of it. But on that same token, if you do something like that, where maybe there's 1.5% in each step, or some, or and maybe your last step is 5%,
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to that, saying like, say if the town, like, so say your step is, say it's 2%, we'll just make it easy, right? So your steps are 2%, and the town has chose to do a 2%. So you're getting that no matter what.
Right.
Right? But say the town says no, then you're gonna get the 2% because it's in your step.
you're still eligible for
Right.
your step. Yeah.
So I think just, because I'm always thinking on the number side, so we would need to make sure we set up some type of financial.
Yes.
That's my
That's a
concern,
different
because we have a tax cap.
No, but I mean,
Certainly go into this for all the employees.
so, no, but I'm just saying, so, and that just needs to be considered, and I don't have a problem doing that, it's just a matter of, I would need to make sure how we set that up on the financial side, because.
right, and I get what you're saying about the tax cap, I really do. However, I think based on the actual number of employees we have, I don't think it's going to be as large of impact as we think it might be.
Well,
Possibly not, but without those numbers. right
Which is,
now,
like I said, which is why I think it'd be worthwhile to have what's called our department heads propose, or what's called create the guide, and then we can have that conversation in more depth.
so
There's
the,
a lot of people on the fire department.
No, but I mean, so that would be, but that's up to Jared to come up with the, because some of it's gonna be like, if they do the training and they're gonna get a promotion because now they're gonna be an EM2 instead of an EM1 or whatever. So
Which
they're
are-
gonna get that increase, and
yeah,
then,
they do that.
you know what I mean, so you have to take those things into account like that, so.
And I think it's also going to help the general community, to realize, okay, so they're getting a bump because of they completed this,
Right.
rather than just, well, why did this firefighter get this? Because they completed, because they did X, Y, or Z? No, nobody knows.
Right, but I think it's also, I do like the idea of saying, okay, I like the idea of having the pay, the pay grades, the wage step plan, and if it's based off of a percentage, but we incorporate the same. However, if the town, if we choose the COLA, it's going to offset what's in there, it's not going to be a COLA plus.
Right.
Because that's where I think
That would be-
people, I take, like, okay, you're gonna get that, plus you're gonna get,
But you also got to keep in mind when you're doing something like that, is that your pay scale needs to increase with whatever that COLA is
right,
given.
that's what I'm saying.
Because otherwise you're going to have a pay scale and 10 years from now it's going to be so
Yeah,
outdated.
and I get- I understand what you're saying, yes, I was gonna say it's 2%, then all of a sudden your pay scale's not changed by 2%, but that person is getting, now they're actually, I get it, and I think it's just more, well, I should say, I think we just need to try and, let's put the pay scale and have a little bit more in-depth conversation once we see the numbers.
Absolutely.
So what can we do with this? Because-
Well, I was going to say, I wrote here, I actually have a note here for myself to say to bring up, maybe we put language in there that says this section is I don't know what we would put the exact language, but basically I don't want to hold up us moving forward with these
Yeah.
based on that. But I do foresee this being a potentially lengthy conversational piece. So I think leaving the language in there, but just simply putting something in there that says, at the current time, this section is not applicable until vote by the Board of Selectmen or something like that.
That was, because I would definitely, because I'm like,
I'm a visual person, but I have to see it, and I have to see it say, okay, and then go through some different scenarios, and then I can say, okay, yes, I like this, I like that, I don't like this, I don't like it.
And I
I'm
know-
good with this, I'm not good with that.
and anything that encumbers the town,
Right.
I worry about. I really do. That's why the agency I work for, which is paid almost entirely by taxpayer dollars, doesn't guarantee the percentage amount that goes into this, this retirement account. It's not really a retirement. You can add to it. They have nothing, this is an optional thing based on whether the agency can afford it. COLAs happen at the percentage that can be afforded or not at all on a yearly basis. It's very refreshing because it is taxpayer dollars. And I guess my challenge with this is another thing in here, is for towns similar to Middleton, anyone tell me within an hour of here, a town that with property tax value, infrastructure, everything you think of that is similar to Middleton. So that's not really the case. We're trying to compete with towns that are not like us, which we have to do to some extent. And you know, I mean, I've been supportive of what we needed to do with salaries and things like that, you know, since being on the board. But let's not fool ourselves. We're competing with towns that we can't fully compete with. We never will be able to.
Right.
We have to do our best, but I don't like that language because we'd have to go way back. I mean, maybe Hebron, maybe, maybe. Maybe the closest one, because Freedom has too much good property that's seasonal, that's getting taxed way more. You don't say you're lucky you have in Middleton. I really tried to find anything comparable. You know what I mean?
So are you saying,
There isn't much.
so are you saying you want that sentence taken
I
out?
would love it personally,
I'm fine
because
with
it's
that.
unrealistic. That is not what we're doing here. Because
And I think that's fine. I think let's remove that sentence and this area is a work in progress.
yeah, it
You know,
sounds good.
and, you know,
Yeah, because I would imagine either A, we move forward with this or we don't. And if we do move forward with it, all this language is gonna be gone and
Yeah,
with everything else.
Okay, which is, yeah, because we did have a pay step scale in here before, and it was based off of, I think, stuff from 20 years ago.
I think it was just department heads.
Well, you know, it was foreman, equipment operator, laborer, secretary, bookkeeper, so it had, you know, the high level, but I mean, yeah, police chief, lieutenant, sergeant, patrol officer, so I think it's just like, it's one of those things as things change, and I think I would rather if we want to have this like in an appendix, because then it's easier to just put in a note,
Right.
versus to change the whole language of the body of the.
Yeah, we'll just move the wage step line into an appendix.
That's it.
Yeah, and so then longevity would become its own, paragraph. or
Right.
Insert, whatever, yeah, okay, I think I'm good with that. So then that puts us at overtime. So did we, alright, so let me just look here, okay, did we? Oh, hold on, I'll call somewhere, I call it somewhere, alright, so all overtime must be approved in 7. Okay, so. Okay. So do we? So when okay, so are we defining overtime? Let me just verify this, the part-time, time work definition. Because I'm gonna say, so you work, so the highway works a 10-hour day. Anything over 10 hours is overtime, not anything over 8 hours. Or I don't know, I'll check my head, I
It
don't
would be
know.
anything over 40.
Right.
Or is it anything over 40? Okay, alright, so.
There is definitions, and I honestly can't speak to the exact language at this point because it's been a while since I've reviewed it. But traditionally, unless it's contractual, it's traditionally 40 hours.
Alright, I just didn't know if we need to just, I'm fine with that because I know, because we always talk about the hours in the day, people different work, and it's like, well, it's anything after 8 hours, and I'm like, yeah, or is it anything after 10 hours? Because depending on what your work day is, but if it's anything after 40, I'm okay with that.
I believe statutorily that's the way it reads, but like I said, it's been a while, so we may want to take a look at that.
Yeah, but you gotta figure out if someone,
So yeah, it says what's called.
if someone worked, physically worked 30 hours PTO day or, but then, and then that weekend they had overtime. That PTO time is considered part of their 40 hours.
It by this and by the old policy, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's your third time to.
Hmm.
I mean,
Our agency doesn't do that.
well, it's 'cause you're paying
Yes,
them.
we're very frugal, very frugal.
All right, so, okay, that was the only thing that I wanted. I just wanted a little bit maybe clarification on that.
And what's got something that we can make sure it's put in there is that what's called overtime is accrued after for full time after 40 hours per week.
I think clarifying it a little bit more, making it a little bit more clear is better than to open to interpretation for everybody.
I do have a quick question on this section as well.
Yeah.
Because some towns hit on it, some don't. Court time for officers.
Oh.
Sometimes that's in our own SOPs. So I've noticed some have it in their actual employee handbook.
And I think I'm okay with it not being in here, being handled through you and how you handle your paperwork, your timesheet. Because we're gonna base it upon you to tell us, you know, and it's specific to your department. So I think that's what I would prefer,
No, I agree.
you know, versus us calling it out. So it's handled under the police SOP and then how you.
That's fine. Like I said, I've seen it both ways, and so I just wanted to clarify
I can
what you
give it
guys would like.
For I think that works. Okay. So the next.
If you don't want to play, if you don't want to be for their time, that's fine.
Employee, so on-call compensation. Now, we know we had some changes on here. I thought we had. That's required. So did we have in here? So we had, based on my updates, I said, and I had finally EMS over to the side, so I don't know what that means, but each department head shall be responsible for maintaining their anticipated call schedule, which and it said, should the employee be called in during on-call time, they shall receive a 4-hour minimum compensation or longer. If the call requires time beyond 4 hours, all on-call pay shall be reported as base pay compensation. I don't know why I have that written in here, I would assume that's what.
That's probably what they have in their policy. So like, are you talking about the fire department?
Maybe I have.
So like, if they do an on-call shift, they get paid, whatever it is, $6-7 an hour to be on call.
Yeah.
But if they actually get called out,
Yeah.
then they get a set allotment of pay, typically 4 hours. And if the call goes beyond 4 hours, then they get.
Because they get shift pay, which is like.
So I don't remember us having this conversation as
I don't
for
know.
all employees.
No, it just says, but I have, like I said, I specifically have fire and EMS written here, and then it says, I don't know, that's why I'm saying,
Right.
maybe I need to get some clear, because I haven't looked at this since last fall, and I have this written down, so.
So I can tell you on the police department side, from the documents I've found in there going through, they kind of operated the same way when they had on call, whereas the officer got paid, I forget what it is in the policy, I think it's like 2 hours or something, for being on call for like the night shift.
Yeah.
But then if they actually got called in and had to get out of bed and come in here, they got paid for 4 hours. If they were only here for a half hour, they got paid for 4 hours. But if they were here for 7 hours, then they got paid for the 7, but they got a minimum of 4.
Right, so, I mean, maybe.
But we don't, at this point, do on-call, so this is all, and I don't foresee us doing on-call.
So on the client side, we're on call. We get an hourly rate. When we go on call, then we get a normal wage. But once we're done with that call, we come back, we go back to the on-call rate.
Right, you only get paid for when you actually attend a call. I should say you get paid your regular rate when you attend a call. I get that there's the on-call rate, which is like $7.50 an hour, something like that. Don't quote me on that, I don't know, off the top of my head. But if you get, so say if you're on call tonight, which I'm guessing, kind of you are, or whatever, you get called out, you get paid a minimum of what?
My normal pay over is 20.
I don't care about that. If you got called out and you only went to the call and you were there 15 minutes because the person didn't need to be transported, they just needed a Band-Aid on their finger or whatever, what would you get paid for your call out? Would you get paid a minimum of an hour, 2 hours, or is there a minimum that you get paid? An hour.
So if we go to Douglas,
Yes.
which is a 2-hour ride, you get the 2 hours, but when it does the report, gets an extra half hour.
Right, but I mean, so unless if you're under an hour, no matter how long you're there, you're gonna get paid at least an hour. And then if you're there longer than an hour, you're getting paid the additional time you're there. So if you're there 3 hours, you get 3 hours paid. But if you're only there 2 minutes, or up to 59 minutes, you're gonna get an hour's pay for going out on that call, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So, yeah, all right.
And usually there's like 2 of us. It's the 2 that are on my emails that get that money.
Right, I get that. So on-call pay, according to this 1 hour of overtime pay for every day.
That's confusing all to me now.
Yeah, I think I need to talk with specifically Jared about this. Because to me, it's like on-call is you're receiving a reduced rate to be on call.
Right.
And then you working during on-call, that means you're getting called out. And then that's when you're gonna get paid a minimum of an hour's pay, from the way Mike said it. Otherwise, it's, so, let me,
Well, I think it's the department, now does the highway department do on call?
they might do,
A tree falls.
tree falls or something like that, one of them goes out, I don't know.
But is that on call or is that just, like, that's the question. So, Scott, because we also have to look at,
No, they don't get paid if they go out, it's not like on call, like the.
but we put in policy, then it's for,
Right, no, so right.
which is why I'm asking the question.
So, right, so.
I'm not against them, just,
So maybe it's versus on call versus on demand. Well, you know what I'm saying,
Well,
when
you
you're
got,
on call, you're expected to be available,
Right.
but you're getting paid to be on call. Well, right, so we put that, it's a shift pay, whereas I know highway is on call, not generally, they don't get paid anything in addition, but they will get paid if they get called out.
but that's what I'm saying, is that if you're putting it as on call, then it's not on call for fire, just police, it's on call for everyone.
Right, so I think, so we probably
So-
need to.
So is is Dan an extra 4 hours of pay for every week?
I don't know,
That's my point.
no, he only gets paid if he gets called out.
Right now,
Right, yes,
right now,
yes.
that's my point.
So, I mean, if this is the way he's gonna, right, so I think,
so in the old policy, I knew it was in here. All employees subject to being called in to work, thereby being unable to leave the area while waiting to be called back to work. Such employees shall be notified in advance as to when they are expected to be on call. The employee shall receive 1 hour of overtime pay for any day that they are required to be on call. Each department head shall be responsible for maintaining their anticipated call schedule. So I think a lot of this is the police department used to go on call late at night. We'll say midnight to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And the highway guys, I know, used to take call by the week. So if they went, if they're shipping at 5, from 5 until 7 the next morning, one of them would be on call for a week and a week and a week. So they got an hour per day for each day they were on call. But then it was callback pay, which is I think what we're looking at here, if they got called out for something. Now I don't want to speak out of turn, but myself and Dan have had this conversation. I know for a fact that Dan does not take call pay, nor do I. We both take it presumptively as being the department head, that is our job.
Which is pretty admirable for you guys to do. However, when Dan leaves or you leave,
Well, that's what I was gonna say, but if you have this in
applies to
there,
everybody.
then
Right.
potentially, we gotta hold.
Right, so I think this obviously needs some clarification, and we need to potentially, I don't know if this, we call it out by department, or if we call it out, or if we apply it across the board, I don't know.
I think on-call is great for us, but I just don't have the resources for it right now. All of our officers live too far away, other than myself, so. And I don't get on-call pay, so.
I don't want you to think what's against anybody being on call pay. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate as to if we have to we're playing for everybody,
Right,
or
no,
department by department.
right, I get it, because currently what we have in here is not necessarily being applied, because it's been the choice of the department head as to how to do on call. So I think we need to, I guess.
So we had to say less than reputable or honest fire police chief who decided to put in for on call every day.
Mhm.
That's an extra, so that's 7 hours for time a week.
So I guess, so let's.
Julie Gunn.
So let's on the on-call, let's maybe revamp this or just get more clear.
I think this is just older when the town used to utilize a lot of on-call,
Right.
but this is just me, and I think a lot of our resources have expanded to the point that we don't necessarily, we use callback, but we don't necessarily use it.
But I think this, the on-call is gonna be specifically more geared toward fire EMS.
At this point, I would say you're correct.
I tend to agree, however, I think that this also, again, looking towards the future, we'll make sure that we clarify.
No, right, I agree, I mean, so that's why we may say in here, we call out fire EMS and say, put the caveat to say, this could change, could change for police and highway or something, right at this time, it doesn't apply to police and highway, but that could change. I don't know, that's just kind of my quick thought on that. So, I will circle back with Jared on this to make sure what we're doing is what's here, which, because I feel like it's really not fully. I just have okay, so now that we've spent. So we have the longevity pay.
Then we need questions to that.
Yeah, and so, I think, given where we're at now, because we changed that to, we said that was, okay, well, he's issued annually during the first 2 weeks, employees anniversary, okay, that's that annual change.
And we also put on caveat that if not full-time employees that want to be paid around here, schedule, pay, longevity, pay, will be held. And it's just on there for full-time staff.
And I think that was good. I guess maybe my thought now, given where we are we good with these amounts? Because I don't necessarily know other towns that pay these large amounts.
I gotta be honest with you, I gotta be very honest with you, most of the people I've talked to have been very surprised by the amount that we pay for longevity. I guess it would be up to the board to determine whether or not they want to stick with those numbers.
I would like for us to maybe see maybe what a couple of other towns are doing to see for longevity. And then kind of go with that. I mean, I think we're fine because we're not in a time when we're not in a spot where we.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know if someone wants.
I can reach out to the town.
Okay.
Can we,
I think we just have something that's on the line with what other, yeah, I think this is very.
So, Wisconsin, where you know.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. You know,
Can we also hear what other towns may be doing other benefits versus longevity,
Good point.
versus.
Yeah.
Vacation time or,
What can happen, what they need for that.
Yeah,
Because I know there are certain towns, for example, can they have, like, one time I worked for Wisconsin, instead of giving you longevity pay, we give you Wisconsin extra week off. And so if you're gonna take your, so even if you made it 5 years, you still got 4 weeks plus.
I think Middleton is very generous with their vacation time.
that's good.
I mean, because you go to.
Well, we are, I'll get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the takeaway for the longevity is Tim's going to look and see what other types
One
of
quick
comparable.
question.
Yeah.
Do we ever thought, like a lot of employers would put in there, there'll be, if there's something like this occurring, with the exception of being held if someone's on a performance improvement plan, but I don't know if that's something we want to consider or not. What's that?
From my past experience,
We have-
longevity versus vacation, if they were due to get another vacation.
You'd still get that, of course, yeah, right.
Whether they're on a PIP or not, that plays into effect.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
We don't have anything in here that prohibits
Yeah.
paying out the.
gotcha, that's fine.
So that puts us now to the business and travel requirements.
It's pretty good that we reimburse at the federal rate. I mean, I'm guessing all towns do that. But again, agencies that contract with the state generally don't do that, but that's just interesting.
I think I'm good with most everything is in here. Is anybody else? So we'll go to payroll deductions,
I just had one, if we could add,
even
So-
under the business and travel reimbursement.
no, payroll deduction.
Oh, payroll. So,
I guess it wouldn't actually fit there, but
all right, so payroll deductions. I think this is most of this is all good. Okay. We're in chapter 8, hours of employment and attendance. So here it is. This is where it says, so we are doing Sunday to Saturday, so that's right, correct? That's what I wrote on another page. The work week, the standard work day, the normal work day is 8 hours. However, department heads may adopt an alternative work schedule. So right now we have police has the standard work day is 10 hours. The highway is maybe assigned seasonal 10-hour work day requesting. And I think that on a 10-hour shift will only receive up to. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it says ownership will only receive overtime when the work week exceeds 40 hours.
Yeah, all right, so that we had gotten that. Okay, so let me just.
I do have a question on this one here,
Yeah.
Under schedule management.
Yeah.
It says department work schedules and changes must be submitted to the BOS office by 4 p.m. on Thursday.
So
I'm fine with giving you guys our schedules, but
I guess it says.
I don't want you to come back to me and be like, giving us your schedule for next week. Not me, but for the whole department.
It does seem like a lot.
Which I'm fine with giving it, but I don't know anybody
I would
that gives
say-
you guys their
I would say maybe
schedules.
Department, I mean, I don't know, department, Army work schedule changes must be.
To be honest with you, I'd be okay with actually deleting that in sense and just leaving it out.
Yeah,
too.
I'm fine with that too. I was gonna say, unless there's gonna be changes, right? So I was gonna say, I would say.
Well, let's say that's going to be significant change. Like, for example, with Scott, they're going to,
Yeah.
Hey, with Scott, Scott's scheduling his employees to work, it's like tower days. But it's like he changes, say, tailor it to, it's not typical working Monday or Tuesday.
I guess I would say, okay, we're going from 10-hour days to 20 hours.
Right, that means it's a change. Whereas,
Whereas, you know, okay, but you know,
Yeah.
they don't want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think, if you were changing on your hours of your day, then that would be reasonable for us. So, okay. I think that's right. Are we good up to lead time? So page 30.
I just had one real quick under unauthorized absences.
Yeah.
If you look at the third sentence now, having abandoned their position and will subject to discipline, including termination. I know in the other paragraphs you guys have language there, it just says disciplinary action or up to termination. I didn't know if you wanted to. I think that's what you're having
Because
there.
there could be some experience.
Up to. I mean, for
So that we go to chapter 9 lead time.
we need,
Lead and GT.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question on the other page? I'm sorry. Designated work location, now, that's up to the supervisor.
Right.
Yeah.
Department, right? Because a department head could allow someone to start their day from home if it were in the town. You know,
Sure.
I mean, like, I can still if there's someone that in one of the, positions in the office, where there was the ability to carry out some duties or something like that. Okay.
And I know we had an amendment at some point to the old policies in regards to working from home. And it read language, because I remember I was part of writing it. It read language that said the department head or the board of selectmen could authorize.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So yes, so the holiday leave, I think we need to add the routine in
Yeah.
there. I think the rest.
And that will change the number at the top as well.
So are we at annual?
Page 13. So, there was a full-time employee machine, working 40 hours a day per week. Okay. That's that. All right. What are your recommendations?
So, I understand why we do what we do. I'm not a huge proponent of it, not a fan of it, for a multitude of reasons. Recruitment, retention being the number one key here.
But yes, like Tim said, we do get a generous portion of accrued time in the aspect of how you look at it here. But this is your time. This is everything. This is your sick time, your personal time, your vacation time. This is everything. So an employee gets 3 weeks. That's vacation, sick, everything all in one. So now their child gets the flu, they get the flu. They're now pretty much out of time. So that's why I'm not a fan of an accrued bank. I am a fan, and most places separate it like this, is you have your sick time, you have your vacation time.
I agree with that.
Now, I do have some language here for you guys because this is also a very, in my opinion, good recruitment and retention aspect to it as well. Because some people look at it and say, well, if they leave the buyout, because now you've got a sick bank and a vacation bank. What you simply put in there is language that says if they're retiring, you will purchase the sick time at, depending upon their, and I have a ton of examples for you, but depending upon their time here, at a rate up to 50%. And you cap it. So somebody caps at 300 sick hours. That's the most they can ever get as long as they work here. If they leave, and they leave under what is considered a statutory retirement, then potentially the town buys back 50% of it.
The other one's kind of the other way where they count what's called municipality-wide vacation time, but sick time you can roll over as much as you need.
Yes, yes. So I'm not even on so vacation time is just that. Vacation time, you're actually obligated to buy out all of it.
Everywhere?
What's that? For vacation, yes. Because that's earned time. That's kind of
PTO, that doesn't, you can phase it in terms of how much time a person can take with them. It's considered PTO.
If it's sick
That's
time,
fine.
you can't.
right. But if you're combining it, then it becomes accrued time, which is the same thing as vacation.
I don't blame you.
There's no specific, like your sick time, you have to provide a doctor's note. If you call in sick and take the day off and I see you at Hampton Beach, well, now you're in violation of policy. Whereas with accrued time, if you call in and say, hey, I'm taking the day off, it's not sick, it's not anything, it's accrued time, you do what you want with it. Huh?
It's unplanned time.
Right. Now, my issue with it, though, is just like I said to you, is that people potentially, one illness, and they're out of time. 100% out of time. Whereas if you separate it, and then you put in language so that you're not obligated to buy out the sick time, but if the person does become sick, they now have that bank of time that they can utilize for their illness. And God forbid that it not be a major illness, because we also don't have short-term or long-term disability.
No, but we do, you have the ability, I'm just saying, you have the ability to use your PTO time when
You do.
saying that.
You
So
do.
it's not like-
Now, I use this example, and maybe it's a little crude for people, but I had some other municipalities that were looking at switching to an accrued time. And the reason they wanted to is because all of the people that wanted to do that were employees, were young, 21, 22 to mid to late 20s at the most, and they wanted more time off. They didn't care about sick time. And then I sat them down and I explained to them. I said, what happens if you get diagnosed with cancer? You have 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And that's all we're going to give our employee. We have an employee that works here for 25 years. We're going to give him 3 weeks. And then, hey, you're unpaid until you can come back to work.
No, because after 25 years,
You're gonna have a ton of
you have
time.
you have more vacation.
A ton of
What's that?
vacation.
You have, based off of here, if you would get 25, you would have 6.5 weeks. I'm just saying, so
That's
it's
a
like, you
lot.
can't use that.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not the extreme.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll use myself as much as I don't want to. Let's say me. Okay.
But I guess
Guess what's going to happen? I'm never coming back. I'm gonna be like, are you kidding me right now? Goodbye. The amount of time and effort and stuff that I've given to all of you and to the town, I just look at this when it comes to thinking of the big picture of life. It's kind of a kick in the teeth.
Well, I can speak from my experience. All of my time I get to go to the PTO. I don't have school time, I don't have vacation, it's all PTO time that I have to use. So, I mean, and I've been there 38 years and I get 5 months.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there all the time.
That's my question.
But again,
You end up having unlimited, and I get it.
no, you can't.
Right, so, but I'm just saying.
And so now they earn less vacation. So instead of earning 6 hours in pay period, they now earn 2.5 hours in pay period of vacation time. And they earn 8 hours a month. Sick time.
Because it's like you should be happy sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Well, but the government Valley Airport, that's the whole reason why
The cap rate.
because they don't cap this time. Right. So I mean, you know, so if I'm up for, like for example, right now I have, I think I have 3 hours of sick time available to me. And so I'm out for, you know, so no idea if I can do math, wherever the reset is,
Right.
then I'm fine. However, what's all I can get that one.
Right, that's what I was going to say. So you put language in there that says if you depart from the town, you don't get any.
Well, but
if you get, oh yeah, vacation, but I'm talking sick. You don't get any of your sick. But if you retire from the town, that shows that you've given some longevity to the town. You put in your time, like you've stood behind everyone. I think at that point, if you're legally retired, then yeah, maybe as a municipality, we give them a little bone for staying with us for some.
yeah, that's where I disagree. We're not going to, if we're going to give somebody unlimited sick time,
Yep.
then they have it until.
And I'm fine with that too.
And
My
then
biggest
there, and you know, no matter what.
So I just want to get some, what you're saying is, if they haven't used it when they retire, they don't get it.
Right, that's it.
And you're saying, what I'm saying is,
I'm saying I could go with either one of those. What I would like to see is I would like to see us split.
Yeah, I would have more separated along the way.
I can say I don't think I have a problem separating, but I do want to make sure I know what the guidelines are and how they work, because I can see how some.
Well, again, like I said, I think this is another section that we could absolutely discuss further with some examples and research into it a little bit more. But I think it would be very beneficial from a recruitment and a retention standpoint if they were separate. Because in today's day and age, people they rely on that sick time, that sick pay, because you never know what's going to happen.
I'll give an example. When I was in the banking world, they had paid vacation time separate from sick time. Being a single mother with 2 kids, it was very difficult. Not just doctor's appointments for the kids, but their illnesses. They can't go to daycare when they are running a small fever, or if they had strep throat, they can't go to the daycare. They can't. So there's a whole bunch of
And I don't disagree with that, but I guess what sounds to me, this kind of sounds like, and again, I have to, I'm a visual person, I have to see how the numbers work out. Because what it sounds like, oh, you're gonna get vacation, and then you're gonna get sick time, and that's actually more than what you're getting today.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, you can. So right now, like prime example, right now you earn. I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one. It's absolutely.
Well, you just use an example.
But like right now, you're looking at 2.31 per week. That's what this one is actually looks like it's based on, and that is essentially accrual time. So now, traditionally, sick time is paid not on a paycheck basis, but on a monthly. And traditionally, you'll earn a day a month. So at the end of the year, you wind up with 12 days of sick time. But then you take this number of the 2.31, and maybe that now becomes 1.5, because this is strictly just vacation time.
So they earn 1.5 as opposed to 2.5.
Okay, all right, so I'm just saying, so if you end up in the end, if we split it, and the person's still getting, if you combine it together, they're still getting the same time, what makes it different?
Because the sick time they can only use when.
So sick time is only used, but the sick time accrues, doesn't go away.
Right.
So vacation time you can get your half.
You have to use that regularly.
Right. Whereas what's idiot, so what's idiot, you know, so if you have 5 hours of vacation time, 5 hours of sick time.
Right.
5 hours of vacation time, if you don't use by the end of the year, it's gone. 5 hours of sick time goes over.
But I think we do actually, we allow you to roll over some
We do.
time.
We do.
Right.
I think it's, which I think is.
And but the thing is once I think
Right.
tax,
Yes, we do, we should.
which is what's else with what we're looking at is sick time we have. So if you're here, say 6 years, and have a month worth of sick time or 2 months worth of sick time, and suddenly you break your arm, you can use that time.
Yeah, you know, and I get that, I guess my, some of my question
So
is there different, are there different rules that apply to vacation time versus sick time?
Absolutely.
Yes.
There can be, I was reading that
So that's
depending
kind of
on the policy,
Yeah.
there's some law, but also dependent on the policy of the organization. I don't know if municipalities are different, but clearly our agency involved lawyers when they rewrote ours, and you don't get paid, it's prorated for the, it was even under, vacation, PTO, like you only get a certain amount of that.
I mean, prove I want to know where I work stuff. I mean, I think my calls are done. But if I'm up for more than 3 days, I don't come back unless I have Right. Whereas let's talk about vacation.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to it, I just need to see the numbers. I need to see how it breaks out, how it works, because.
I just wanted to plant the seed.
And how that time is actually used. Like for sick time. I can't just say, well.
With accrued time, you just call them.
Call in, I'm not feeling well, I can't come in today. But if that went for 4 days,
Then you need a doctor's.
right, but what if it was one of my kids?
Then you are comfortable.
Well, that's fine, but some places have, that doctor's not only pertain to the employee.
But we just put it in language.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, how that's used.
I have not with that. So, for example, last year was I think it was Oscar got the flu. Heather couldn't be with him was in Caribbean because she had was 4 weeks all week. So I was up. I called my boss. I said, "Hey, I need to be with my son. I can't really work from home today or the end of the week because he is very sick and chances of me not being able to get work done is minimal. So I'm going to be taking some sick time." And okay, you have to have enough. Of course, we're offered to the doctors, fill out anything, for blah blah blah. Different problem. So we're step no problem with this,
Right,
And then once I that the HR, they're like, okay, good go.
So then how do you work it where, you're home with Oscar, but he's okay by himself, laying there, and you can actually do work from home? Do you consider that sick time?
No, it's like I told my boss, or my boss is that was he kind of thinks about how at this point.
I think that would be where you go back to the department head based on our work policy
Right.
and decide whether or not as a department head your employee has enough work and capability to keep themselves busy for a work day at home.
Yeah, so basically you just gotta have definitions of what they're using for.
I mean, honestly, with our kids, some of your times with our not at home with my children, and I literally been working because, really sick. Yeah, sick enough for their concentration, no. They, that's how they see the day off for everything, that's how getting us recover. And I mean, we work from home, and, I was fine.
My kids were very young when they both had between September and the end of February, they bronchitis constantly. Same thing with me. I had bronchial pneumonia. So, not just me, I'm always the kids, and some things I could work from home with, and some things most things that we should.
You know, for example, like say something, so our new hire, Andrew. If his job is that we, there wants to happen, but there's no way he's gonna do work home.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So, okay, so I think Kevin, we had really good discussion on this, and I think it's great. I think right now we're, without changing, we'll keep it with some more information to come to be a follow-up to say, okay, what would come from this is saying, we want the discussions to maybe split out sick time and, vacation time, but what we have right now is advice, and, we're not gonna, I don't want to slow down the process.
No, I don't want to slow the process, but I know
But
that
I think it's.
no, I didn't, we gotta get that down.
At least that's how I feel, because I don't want us to not approve it because we're still working. I think that's a whole change to this.
Yeah.
Kevin's right, it is, I never realized how generous it was, it's very generous leave policy.
For vacation
But
time.
I think
Oh, we
part of
have
that,
to use all that very.
but I think part of that is because this is also a sell for us, because maybe we can't pay at the top of the pay.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
So we can offer
But this is why, right, so then, why step? Because,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, because we're doing very, very well. It's-
Okay, in the event of time, I'm just gonna say, if Christie doesn't do it, then you know, I'll just say, just put money's, that works for everybody. You know, I mean, I think we can get through part of it, but if not, we'll just have to knock out the rest of it, and I'm leaving, sorry. That's my personal opinion, I think maybe after the clock, I'm gonna take it up,
Yeah,
have to shut down.
yeah.
So we talked about the turn it off, the accumulation, and then we have in here that how much you can carry over.
one year's allotted time.
Right, so this says on here, you can carry over 200 guys.
Can I actually ask just a quick question, because it came up in conversation today, real quick. On the accrual time schedule, where it says 0 to 1, and then it says 2. So that would mean when they enter year 2?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
I
I
remember.
think that was a question a while back.
Yeah. When the highway, yeah.
And maybe we make this, should we make this clearer?
I think we need to.
It makes sense, but it doesn't when I look at it. And the only reason I ask is because
Do we want that beginning of the year
Yeah,
service?
that's,
so when they enter, so basically after they've completed their first year, day 1 of their second year, they move up to that.
Yes, so that's going to take 80 years to service to the beginning of 2, you're at 160 hours.
Yeah.
Year of service, not years of service.
Years service, yeah.
Years of service.
That was just something that came up in conversation.
So then there's other paid leaves. I don't know if we can have anything.
So,
But I think this is where we had got past, where I think we hadn't even got to the time off. So now we're kind of in, the other charge to territory of not having ever discussed any of this before.
I was involved in it all thoroughly, and I had absolutely no more notes. So good job.
Well, yes,
That's right.
so under non-immediate family, it says,
what page?
33.
Okay. Oh, no, yeah.
So full-time employees are allowed 1 day off per year without loss of pay to attend services for the death of an individual not listed in the definition of immediate family. But we do not have the definition of immediate family up there.
Oh, good pickup. That was a good.
Yeah, that makes me get that.
It was something.
Ram.
It was
The employee conduct, it was probably under, family working, the immediate family is, so the definition of immediate family, it says related. So I guess I'm gonna have that, let's just get in there. So we're looking at.
Immediate family is different definitions. A spouse is a union partner, child, foster child, an employee, a person between employees, then
So if we have the definition of non-immediate, we can say non-immediate spouse.
Right. I just want to make sure that we have the definition.
Yeah,
So can we add that?
Yeah.
Okay.
on these, yeah.
because the challenge is if you were in an unofficial domestic partnership, the manager would qualify.
When I go on to the
Yeah, we would, well, I mean, even if it wasn't official, we would be qualified, you just think, we want to make sure that they would have the more, put up the more, right, the 5
Yeah.
paid
And
one.
I think this is great because I can tell you, I work as an employee to take time off from going to.
So yeah, so an employee with a relationship regarding the same household, then yeah.
Thank you. So again, this is going to be very generous cost tonight, the last 3 for a family, immediate family, and you have to use these all if you want.
No, I think it's free, but it's for bereavement and then anything about that, it would be like.
It's same with us, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to court, jury, and or witness plea. Any questions, comments about those? Okay, so then moves us to the Family Medical Leave Act. And I think most of all of this is kind of like a, yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So, that will bring us to the coordination benefits. Where's the coordination benefits? I'm guessing it's probably the same issue.
Oh,
Probably the old.
I'll know, but
I wasn't everything new, but I just don't know where these are old. So, it's probably, I bet you. So what do we have to coordinate, right? How do you leave with the Oh, okay, so this is, so you know what I thought when it says coordination, I'm just saying coordination, right? Because I'm thinking, oh, your spouse has.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
No, no,
And
no.
as I'm reading that now, I'm like, okay, then that just makes sense. So I think I'm really good with this, then, I sorry, I'm just saying, I didn't think we had anything about coordination. And I think that the person will be asked this is about pay. Is this good? So that brings us to chapter 10, retirement and other benefits. So, this, oh yes, so I know that. And I don't know if we want to call out this specifically now, because it says town provides required full-time employees, helps the county with the New Hampshire tax system. That's only for PE, you don't do that for any other
Okay.
projects, so I think we should probably call that out. Currently in the PE.
you know, is that a town?
That's a town decision, yeah. We're not required to vote. I think maybe it's PE requires to be in the NHS or that's, you don't have to talk your head spot.
No, I don't believe you.
So, and I mean, as far as, you know, so at some point in time, the PE must have come to the town and said, hey, we want to do it, and they did it, and they did it this way, which I think is somewhat might have been why some of these other things were missing for in personal policy, you know, maybe on other things, but I don't know.
kind of a technicality, but we don't have a Form K, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Form B is.
You know, it's a 401.
It is a K?
It's not a B.
Fees for education.
These what?
Education.
Oh.
Okay, so we are currently on page 39, law, section 125, workers' compensation and injury management. And I think that's most of the language, right, from workers' comp.
Yep.
So, sorry, I think this is the question. Do we say anything about the 401A?
It is on the top, I just looked that up, page 30.
Oh, 38, okay, so I'll just go back to this. It's okay, compensation 401. Yeah, so, all right, right now it's 3%, so that's another compensation. So we just need to know if we make change that we need to Thank you. Alright, so now we're going to go back to the page, and this is the temporary tag procedure, the mandatory term of 18 months, and yet this is all pretty much standard state. I think I need to know that, right? So we'll go to chapter 11, which is temporary procedure. Supervisor level. This is so we're on chapter 12, disciplinary procedures. And I think that's pretty much the same as what we did before.
Yeah.
So, moving to chapter 13, separation from employment. That's probably the change, right? Last. Chapter 14, safety and health. So we do have here, we need to get this up, the alcohol or drug alcohol, you have to hand this guide. Sorry, I'm on page 48. So, we'll all have to look at the PDF. And this, policy, I think is really made from the residents as well. Just basically gives, alcohol and drug policies. Then, so that puts us all down to. Chapter 15, which is environmental operating rules. And just this is that they can have implemented its own policies and procedures and rules which is really vague. I know police says, I know fire chief says, and this is going to be a set of policies and procedures potentially. In chapter 16 is language, so anything that didn't fall in the first 15, I guess falls in here. And discipline as it says ethics. So here is an ethics policy approved as of December 2011, so this is maybe what we talked about at the time. So we talked about potentially each board.
Yeah.
So that's appendix F. So let's see what else. And that's a personnel information also, I think for this,
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, it's E. that's good, that goes through those. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that or not. In chapter 17, use of the internet and email communication. I think this is how it's separate, chapter 18, separability. I don't know what that means.
So pretty much in this case, for what reason, you take out of chapter, the rethinking.
Chapter 19, supersession or government authority. Then there's chapter 20, amendment procedures. And, oh, you need to have it perfect, you have to use the names on it.
So I did not mind that measurable.
Yeah. And then, I don't know about this. So then we have the town, maybe the person who has to change it and sign off. Same with understanding, that's good. So let's just quickly, so everybody can go all that, we know we have some kind of, we have, behavior part to the good. So I think this is what we need to do. I know we'll look at some of them, but we might probably need to contain and listing of positions, because that's probably, it's probably mostly good, but.
So, I got it.
Because we can have no beach attending. So we can do that. Everything else is probably okay, because we could potentially ask some of these positions to grab on necessarily fill. Do we do trustee one here? What is your elected position to see if it's like the nail, to see if it's like it's an animal? So we'll put them. And we look at the town, Middleton hiring policy.
You don't have ballot, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Do we want to combine the treasurer and the
I think we just need to know. This is like then maybe future or one future or whatever, I mean, it's still, the positions are all there. So, on the effective employee hiring policy, we need to take the names off there, just leave a blank, take names out, and leave it available, we just put selected. We looked at appendix C. We looked at, the appendix C is listed, you got how many forms, all forms available from the, so, I think we should have these forms maybe attached to in here. So, those, appendix C, we did that because the appendix, we looked at, appendix F is the personnel, personal information form. I'm guessing, do we require people to fill this form out? Okay, all right, no, I just want to make sure we utilize it, that's not the only reason I'm asking, so that's good.
Because, you know, if there was an emergency,
Yeah.
that's where I go.
No, that's right, no, I think so. And FNGP is the joint loss, which is if you have a joint loss book, so that just makes that that's there. And then, salary information form, so this form is,
It's redundant.
well, no, this form is done when you first hire somebody, right?
But it's also done, I fill out the, personnel action form.
Right, but this is just the first time we hire somebody, this, just appendix H. So I guess maybe Tim, if we can find any in appendix H here that I refer to, because this would be just the hiring form. And if that's the case, that's good, because any time in the future when we get them, we could do the personalized form for any increase.
And I do it at the time of hiring as well. I do
So if we do that, so we might have to do that. And appendix I is the alcohol and drug. And we talked about putting in appendix J, which is the, I have it in here. We were doing another appendix.
So,
Okay, yes. So potentially we would have that, yeah. Any comments or questions? Any of this good? You want to go through? So the takeaways are, the takeaways, I think we start and I and then a couple of thinking about updates and that, and some of the issues that come about again, and work.
We separate and we can look at.
And actually, you know, what might be way step in as well as talking about potentially splitting a vacation sick.
Yep.
Because that's the kind of stuff out on the table. So yeah, I think that's good, and then we'll have another workshop to firm up our changes. And then if everybody is good with that from there, you know, caught up in the workshop, because we're not keeping anything English, but then it'll go to a formal BOS meeting and get approved. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
I'd like to say thank you guys.
Thank you.
Long overdue task, and thank you for
You know,
So thank you guys for putting together.
so with that, I'll entertain a motion. Are you still there?
I'm gonna go to adjourn at 7:47.
You made it before 8, so I'll second that.
All those in favor? Bye-bye.